Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Animel. If you haven't been here before, I'm Mel, the host of this channel, and yes, I know it has been a super long time. We are back with another seasonal anime video in regards to all the summer anime that I will be watching this summer, and potentially dropping along the way because there are, quite frankly, way too many. But I'm going to try to give each and every one of these that have piqued my interest a try, and hopefully at the halfway point we'll do a live to determine what I'm going to keep and what I'll be dropping. But I don't know, maybe that halfway point may be a little bit later, because if you haven't heard yet, I will be going on hiatus because my family is growing. So it's a really eventful time in my life right now. But I promise I will be back. The date is TBD though. Anyway, enough with the introductions. Let's dive into every single anime that I will be watching this season, along with some honorable mentions at the end, because there are quite a couple of anime movie releases that we should be keeping an eye out for this summer. First anime that we have, or rather donghua, because this is a Chinese animation, that's basically the name that's used for anything that's animated in China, just like we have anime and other various jargons that we use for animations released from different regions. And I feel like the mention of donghua will come up more and more on my channel as we begin to have more and more access to donghua, as we see with the likes of Link Click and To Be Hero X, if you have seen either or. There's not much to really go on synopsis wise, but from what I can tell from the trailers that are available and have been released, this anime is about a character named Klein, and he has been isekai'd into another world. It seems like he's from China, isekai'd into this Victorian, I want to say the 1300s era, where he now has supernatural abilities. I can't quite grasp what the story is about. I think that he's trying to find a way home, and there may be some antagonists standing in his way. But with the rise in creation of donghua, or the accessibility rather, for other audiences, since this is going to be streaming on Crunchyroll, I will say that it does pique my interest for various reasons. From my experience with Link Click and To Be Hero X, donghua, or Chinese animation, seems to be always enriched with character development and character stories. Additionally, it doesn't sacrifice the action for the build of these stories, which some anime do quite often. It has a balance of the both, and the animation sometimes can be very unique, very different, and very captivating. For those of you who are watching To Be Hero X, I'm sure you can relate and understand. So unfortunately, there's not much to go by, but from just the visuals and the mysterious vibe that Lord of Mysteries is giving off, I will be checking out this donghua this summer. Takopi's Original Sin is going to be a 6-episode anime. Why is it so short? Well, it only has 16 chapters from what I understand. And while the animation looks really cute, and the story seems quite whimsical, as we're introduced to this alien that left their planet called Takopi, who goes to other planets in hopes of making others happy. Like, their whole mission is bringing others happiness. And he meets Shizuka, who doesn't necessarily give the happiest vibes. So we're hoping that this story goes in a direction where Takopi can bring some joy and happiness to Shizuka's life. But here's the thing, from what I understand genre-wise, this is a sci-fi horror type of story. So the trailer may not be giving off what it actually is supposed to be. And since the title of the anime is called Takopi's Original Sin, Takopi being the alien octopus that's supposed to bring happiness to others, what exactly goes wrong along the way that we have to see Takopi sin? And basically, how does the story unfold after that point forward? I think you shouldn't expect sunshines and rainbows from this specific anime. One of my faves is also returning, and that is DanDaDan. And if you've been a fan of my channel for a long time, then you know I am in love with the story, in love with the illustration of the manga, and I think the anime has been doing a fantastic job in terms of adapting the manga to enrich the audience more, whether you're a manga reader or an anime only. It's bringing completely different and new elements that you would not necessarily experience to its entirety when reading the manga. And it really draws out the uniqueness of DanDaDan, I will say that. So I am so happy that it is coming back with season 2. Being a manga reader, I'm gonna bring a little bit different synopsis to what I'm expecting from DanDaDan. So DanDaDan, being that it's gonna be roughly 12 episodes, this season is going to be starting off where we left off, which is the Cursed House arc and the Evil Eye arc. I expect this arc to last between 4 to 6 episodes, maybe closer to 5. Because even though the trailers that have been released mostly emphasize on Evil Eye and the Cursed House and the Kito family, which we got introduced to at the end of season 1, the trailers and the promotional photo gives away a little bit more that manga readers may have noticed, like a couple of Easter eggs that when they saw the poster, they were like, okay, we know where season 2 is about to end. And if you couldn't tell by the trailers, Evil Eye is Gigi and Chiji is Evil Eye, so he goes through a similar experience as to what Okurun goes to when he gets possessed by Turbo Granny. And even though this arc may not last the entirety of the season, we can look forward to training arcs for our main characters, not only for Okurun, but also Aira, Momo, and Gigi. And for those of you who thought Gigi was this massive goofball with nothing to contribute when he was introduced to in season 1, well, joke's on you. When Granny Seiko called him a genius, he really was a genius in honing his chi and his spiritual energy. We will also be getting new characters based off the fact that we see this Kaiju dinosaur in some of the promotional photos, so you know who's coming and you know what that means if you're a manga reader. What I will say for anime only is that season 1 was basically a layup to the rest of what is DanDaDan. It was to basically introduce the different power dynamics, to introduce the aliens and the ghost concept of DanDaDan world, and to get us geared up for how much crazier the story gets as we go along. The action only escalates and the antagonists get stronger and stronger. But so do our MCs. And for those of you who forgot that DanDaDan is also of the romance genre, we get some development from Okurun and Momo. Just a bit if you pay attention to the trailers. So there's a lot to be looking forward to this season. And it's probably going to be paced just a little bit faster and a little bit differently than season 1. Can I just say that I did not realize that it has been 3 years since season 1 of My Dress Up Darling was aired? Yes, we waited 3 years for season 2, but I am so excited it's back. And for those of you who have never heard of My Dress Up Darling before, it's about Marin and Gojo, nope, not this Gojo, and how their respective loves and passions bring them together to help Marin cosplay all these different characters that she loves, and for Gojo to basically hone and harness his skills of creating Japanese dolls with the makeup that he puts on them, the sewing that he does. All of these skills he utilizes to help Marin basically cosplay some of her favorite anime, video game, movie, you name it, characters. But while sharing their passions with each other, they seem to build some sort of connection, bond, and love. And season 1 kinda ends with Marin confessing to Gojo while he's asleep over the phone. Talk about a teaser. So season 2 is probably going to be very frustrating, as Marin, from what I can see, is teasing, flirting, and playing with Gojo as she's realized her feelings for him, and Gojo not really understanding what the hell is going on and how to react in any of these situations. And again, for those of you who have never seen My Dress Up Darling before and is looking for a good romance, I highly recommend this one. It's really cute. It's not exactly like that high school romance, like it gives the high school romance cuteness and vibes that you usually see in romance high school anime, but it's got a different twist and dynamic to it since we spend most of our time outside of school with Marin cosplaying and Gojo helping her. And I will note that there is a bit of fan service, but it's not like over the top where it kind of puts you off. Continuing with anime that have not aired in a long time, the Rascal Does Not Dream series is coming back. And yes, it's kind of been here or there over the years with the start of Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Senpai, and then also some of the movies along the way. It's been a long time since we've got a episodic of the Rascal Doesn't Dream series. This one is called Rascal Does Not Dream of Santa Claus. Similar situation to Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Senpai, where it's this girl who's going through puberty syndrome, and some of the side effects that she's experiencing from puberty syndrome is that no one can see her. So she decides to dress up as a bunny often, walk through the school library, but our main character, Sakuta, can see her. Not only can he see her, but he can notice when other people are also going through this puberty syndrome and experiencing all of these different symptoms that are not exactly the same as the bunny senpai, Mai. And he kind of tasks himself in helping these people out. Well, this is now a continuation where we've gone from him experiencing others going through puberty syndrome while he was in high school to him experiencing people experiencing puberty syndrome while he is in college and university. Wow, that was a mouthful, but you get what I mean. Now this time he is seeing a girl walk through the library, same situation as Mai from high school, with the Santa Claus suit on, and he's like, okay, super deja vu, not a bunny but a Santa Claus, what the hell is going on? So it's kind of a regurgitation of what it seems like the first season, but I will say that the movies that came between the first season and this season are canonical, so you may want to watch those first before watching this season. And he'll be faced with a bunch of new characters who are experiencing puberty syndrome, and he has to help them out. So I wonder how much this will be different and how much this will vary from the first season and what he experienced in high school. So if you haven't noticed, Netflix is really cooking this summer because they have acquired a ton of anime that I will be watching. One of them being The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity. And it starts off with our main characters, Rintaro, who works at a bakery, and Kaoru, who's a customer there, coming to meet each other. They converse, they vibe, and it's like, we may have something going on here. But Rintaro, one day while he's at school, notices that Kaoru actually goes to the school right next to his. This school is known as a very elite, prestigious, rich prep girl school, okay? And the school that he goes to is more catered to the lower income, rough, all boys school. Some of these guys are really rough around the edges, some of them are delinquents, so he feels very apprehensive around talking to her and approaching her. But Kaoru is like, look, I'm not about that. I can tell that you're really nice, you're really kind, and you're very gentle. I don't care about the school that you go to, and I don't care about your social status, whatever the case may be, whatever you want to call it. She says, I really want to build a connection with you and I want to be friends with you. Obviously, people around them thinks this is a little bit strange. But since this is a romance and initially they may start out as friends and just building a connection, we can expect to see something romantic budding at some point in this season. It definitely gives a wholesome high school romance story of how two teenagers from completely different social worlds come together to build a relationship and potentially help others around them build relationships with each other. Maybe we'll see some of the girls from her school and the guys from his school start to build a connection between the two schools who are known to hate each other. Another Netflix anime that I am greatly looking forward to, and it's basically on the top of my list of new releases, non-sequel anime, is The Summer Hikaru Died. Now the title basically gives it away. It's about the summer that Hikaru died. And if you watch the teaser, it opens up with Hikaru's friend, Yoshiki, talking to who is supposed to be Hikaru and being like, bro, you're not really him, are you? And when this Hikaru is confronted, his face starts to warp and change in the grossest way that I think I've seen in an anime before. I don't watch a lot of horror for context, and is like, bro, please don't tell anyone that I'm not Hikaru. I don't want to kill you. Oh my god. That trailer alone gave me the chills. And I've read a few chapters of the manga. It looks like the anime is going to capture the same essence and vibe of what the manga is putting down. And it sometimes gives this realistic animation, which is often captured within the manga. Like the manga has this specific art style, and during certain moments of essential horror, the scenes start to become real, like real life real, and it kind of like makes it even more chilling. But going back to the story itself, this story explores the relationship between Hikaru and Yoshiki, their friendship and potentially romantic relationship, because there are definitely hints and notes of BL, boy love, in this, and there's more than just platonic love involved between Yoshiki and the first Hikaru. But because Yoshiki misses Hikaru, loved Hikaru, he can't really give away the imposter because the imposter has adopted most of Hikaru's mannerisms, his weirdness, his quirks, and his memories. And so far it seems that Yoshiki is the only one that's been able to tell that Hikaru is an imposter. But I think some of the people within the town are starting to catch on. Because Hikaru went missing one day in the mountains and didn't come back for, I don't remember how long, but he was gone for a long time where people actually thought he was dead. So for him to resurface and reappear is even stranger. Also, they live in this like rural village that's known for having these weird, suspicious things happening. So Yoshiki is kind of caught in this dilemma as people approach him telling him to be careful around Hikaru because they notice something's a little bit off. But because he loves his friend so much, now that his friend is gone, he kind of doesn't want this Hikaru to disappear, even though he's well aware of the danger that this Hikaru imposter poses. And though I'm not really a horror person, I am definitely really invested in how this unfolds, how this Hikaru potentially terrorizes the town if more people go missing, and the fostering relationship between these two. Because even though Yoshiki often seems to fear this imposter Hikaru, fake Hikaru, seems to be growing feelings for also this Yoshiki just because he has everything the old Hikaru has in him, like feelings, memories, and all, but also gives off this like, I might have to kill you if you tell anybody. So there's this sort of like suspension bridge thing going on here. Can't really call it Stockholm Syndrome, or maybe you can, but there's some sort of psychological dynamic that's going on here that's not healthy and that we're watching unfold in the most horrific way possible, while also other horrific things happening at the same time within the town. So I'm really looking forward to this story. Continuing on the horror thriller themes, Toilet Bound Hanako-kun Season 2 Part 2, if you didn't know, they aired Part 1 of Season 2 earlier this year, and this is now Part 2. Yeah, marketing is confusing. And we're picking up right where we left off at Part 1, where they are continuing to look for the mysteries so that they can remove the seals, so on and so forth. And the last mystery that we have, if you have been paying attention and noticing all of the numbers that we've encountered so far, is number 6. Based on the trailer, it looks like number 6 is giving this ominous Grim Reaper type of vibe. And this part of Season 2 is probably going to continue the same type of darker themes that we were introduced to in the first part, because if you remember, we learned that Nene, our MC heroine main character, is destined to die within less of a year. Talk about a huge shocker when they revealed that, because Hanako-kun gives this cute vibe, and even though it's kind of like this thriller-esque, horror-esque type of thing, it never got too real. You know what I'm saying? But in the moment that we learned that Nene was gonna die within the year, it started to get real. So we'll probably continue Part 2 with Hanako looking for ways to hopefully prevent Nene from dying. But at the same time, Akane and Nene have teamed up because Aoi has been captured by the 6th mystery, the 6th school wonder. So there's a lot of shenanigans that are about to unfold within this second part, and it's going to continue to involve mystery number 1, who are the timekeepers. And I think it's safe to say, as a reader, that potentially will really hit the fan this part. So please look forward to that. One more horror for you. This one's not really a horror, it's more like a horror comedy or a comedy horror, and that's called Night of the Living Cat. Now there's not much to this. It's basically a dystopian, apocalyptic world where cats are now overrunning the world, and not only are they overrunning the world, but they seem to be carrying this virus where if you touch the cat or the cat touches you, you turn into a cat. I mean, that doesn't sound super scary, but I don't think I'd want to be a cat. But it sounds really funny respectively, because I know quite a few people who love cats. And I think that if we were living in that world, these people would be royally screwed. Because there's just something about some animals that just makes you want to cuddle them and pet them. I really cannot sympathize as someone who does not own any pets, but I can only imagine that you see a cute cat, you want to pet it, and holy smokes, you're a cat now. And I think that's basically the epitome of this anime. And these group of people essentially try to create a post-apocalyptic team to survive this cat apocalypse. Can't tell if we're halfway through the list now at this point, but I hope we're getting there. This one has been highly raved about. I've been seeing it on threads, I've been seeing it on Instagram, even before it got an anime announcement. And to be quite frank, it was on my read list for a while, but once I saw that it was getting an anime, I said, you know what? I'll just wait for the anime. If I have time to read the manga, I'll read the manga, because you know what? I'm just the girl. I don't have time to read every single manga in the world. Gachiakuta is definitely one of those anime that has been literally everywhere. Like, I can't tell you how much promotion it has been getting. And in this world, it's about a separation of people, a separation of classes, and a separation of criminals and high society, where people who are deemed trash, things that are also trash, get dumped into this huge hole called the pit. And our main character, Rudo, also gets thrown into that pit after being falsely accused of a crime. It seems like he's been framed for taking the life of his adopted father, because his actual father was also thrown into the pit for a crime he did. And Rudo, hating the construct of this world, who used to live in the slums of higher upper society, or the upper level of the world, vows to get his revenge and dismantle and destroy this social construct, or the societal construct. And while in the pit, he discovers this group of people called the cleaners, and each of these people or persons are known as givers. Givers is basically the power system, which allows them to give ordinary objects life, like to give them abilities and to give them power. And Rudo, while down there scrapping for his life, becomes a giver himself and joins the cleaners. And it appears down in the pit, it's kind of like survival of the fittest. You kind of have to scrounge for resources and also fight these monsters that are called like trash beasts. I guess they've thrown so much trash there over time that they just accumulate and turn into monsters. Is kind of wild. So Rudo, looking to hone his powers in hopes of reshaping society and dismantling the system that got him falsely accused and thrown into the pit in the first place. I feel like season 1 is going to be on the focus of like a bit of his backstory, the development of his abilities, and him working with the cleaners in exchange for them helping him get back at the people who threw him in the pit. And now, while the action, the animation, and the power system looks really interesting and very captivating, I will say that the concept and the idea of the division in classes, the wastefulness of high society and how it's kind of been left to criminals or lower society or the slums, and elitism within this story that's being thematically covered interests me from a different standpoint. I feel like there will be additional substance outside of all of the action associated with Gachiakuta. Yeah, that one. This one is definitely a mouthful that I'm going to continue to mess up. Thankfully, we didn't have to wait long for part 2 of Dr. Stone's Science Future to come back. As you know, there are going to be 3 parts for the final season, with hopefully the 3rd part airing in 2026. And if you remember from part 1 of Science Future, Senku and a very smaller crew of the Science Kingdom has escaped from North America to travel down to South America after capturing and kidnapping Dr. Zeno or Dr. X, who said, yeah, I'll help you out with what you're about to do next. It seems like they're gonna go fetch additional resources that they need to build their spaceship to reach Y-Man. But because you kind of gotta have a little bit of conflict or else it's just science all the time, Stanley, who was Zeno's counterpart, is chasing down Senku and the rest of this crew so that he can get Dr. Zeno back. But I feel like at some point at the end of this part, because we need to have as many allies as possible before we go to the moon and try to get rid of or take out Y-Man, Stanley is gonna come around in the name of science and in the name of Dr. Zeno, because we need, again, as many allies as we can get. This next one, Tougen Anki, has been added, removed, and then added to my list again, just due to the fact that first, it didn't have a streaming platform, now it has multiple streaming platforms. So lucky for you all, you can either watch this on Netflix, Crunchyroll, or Amazon Prime Video this summer. Tougen Anki is proving to be what looks like a story between 2 different clans, Momotaro clan and the Oni clan, and how they just have extreme historical beef Since the beginning of time, they have been fighting, and up until today, they are still fighting. And the way the story goes is that Momotaro is this group of people that was always tasked with trying to protect humanity, especially from the Oni group. Now fast forward today, our main character Shiki is attending this Oni Academy, trying to get stronger to go up against the Momotaro group and avenge his father, which I assume was taken out by the Momotaro group. But the Momotaro group is not giving the very much pure, we're here to save humanity vibes, we're the good guy vibes. There seems to be maybe something sinister lying underneath the surface because some of the main characters on the Momotaro side seem a little bit sus. Also, the power system seems kind of interesting. It's like blood bending, but your blood's on the outside, so the Oni clan and the Oni group can use their blood to create weapons, and basically they can use their powers or their blood to attack people based on how fortified their imagination is and maybe some other factors. But I will say that based on what manga readers have said, even though they quite enjoyed the series, there's not much to the story. It's just a really fun action anime. Okay, another favorite more in regards to manga is returning, and that's Sakamoto Days, which is also airing on Netflix. Sakamoto Days is definitely part 2 of season 1, so this is the second half of season 1. And I'm most looking forward to this part because we're getting introduced more to the order, which we technically got introduced to in part 1, but now we get to see, you know, how they can scrap. Now I will say that this arc and this part of the anime is basically going to be a make or break for me as someone who is reading the manga, because I really love the manga, and the way that the anime has been adapting some of the sequences, or the action sequences I should say, is not always impressive. Now if you're an anime only, I'm sure that you're still loving it, because in reality there's nothing wrong with the manga. The manga is still great, but I think that when you read an anime or when you read a manga, sometimes it can jade you a little. So I'm trying to not let the manga jade me too much and just enjoy the anime for what it is. I will say though that if they can't get Takamura's menacing nature and OP-ness driven across in the anime, I will throw hands, because Takamura-san is like just one of those characters that blows your mind every time he's on a panel or he's on screen. This part of Sakamoto Days is shaping up to be another neck-breaking pace part, which I'm guessing because it looks like it's trying to cover quite a couple of arcs. I can't tell you how much they're trying to cover because it seems a little bit jumpy, but we're gonna be picking up part 2 with the Death Row Prisoners arc, or the Death Row arc. We are also going into the JCC exam arc, which honestly has one of the most amazing and best illustrated action sequences in the manga when they're fighting on the plane, and you clearly see it on the trailer. I have unfortunately very high expectations for that scene, so we'll see how that goes. And it's starting to give hints of Sakamoto's past as we get introduced to younger Nagumo and one of his other counterparts, Rion. So based on how the manga goes, that's technically about 4 parts right there, so I'm a little bit anxious as to how fast-paced this part will be, but maybe they'll reorder things a little bit because, you know, they quite cut a lot out of part 1, so I wouldn't be surprised if they reordered things in some shape or form. But going back to that airplane scene, if you finish watching this second part of season 1 of Sakamoto Days, I urge you to go find the illustrations of them fighting on the plane. If you don't read the manga, like, just look at those sequences, look at those panels, because it is absolutely insane, stellar, and amazing. All right, last episodic anime that I have on my list. I say episodic because, as I mentioned earlier, there are some movies, and I do have some honorable mentions at the end for those of you who may be watching those. This one is also very much loved, very much regarded, and very much hyped, and that's Kaiju number 8 with season 2. Now this one has a really late release date, and it looks like it's only going to be getting 11 episodes, but I'm super looking forward to it. The first things first that we need to address is the fact that Gen Narumi Gen was absolutely like a shocker to see in season 1. His design was not the vibes. Let's just say that. His design was not the vibes. And when I first saw the teaser for season 2, I said, wow, this studio took the feedback of people complaining about Narumi's design and they fixed it. They fixed it. He looks great now. Can I just say how happy that makes me when a studio takes feedback from the fans? Not that I'm saying that studios need to take feedback from the fans, but his design in like season 1 was just absolutely like not him. It was just not him, you can tell. If you remember where we left off in season 1 though, Kafka was captured because he was found out to be Kaiju number 8. They let him go, and now I think we're gearing up for a training arc. And not only is Kafka getting a training arc, but our sweet girl, Shinomiya, will also be getting a training arc at the division that her dad leads. I don't think they're gonna be the only 2 characters training. I think we'll see glimpses of some of the other characters from the 3rd division. I think they're the 3rd division, but we won't be getting as much insight into their training as we will into Kafka and Shinomiya's training. And this is where Narumi Gen takes the spotlight and why we're seeing him all over the place in the trailers, because he is the vice captain of Division 1 and will be in charge of training these 2. Now here's something very important to note, because I don't have anything else to say in regards to the anime, is that Kaiju number 8 season 2 will be starting the same week, if not like 1 or 2 days apart from when Kaiju number 8 the manga will be ending. Like, mind-blowing. They timed that so perfectly. Yeah, it's crazy. We are ending Kaiju number 8 manga with 129 chapters. While I don't hate the fact that it was a short manga, I do feel like there was some missed opportunity for like more story, just because the beginning was very much neck-breaking pace. And I hope, and this is my hope for season 2 and ongoing, because I've seen it in season 1, is that the anime will flesh out the manga in areas that the mangaka perhaps didn't have time, or the mangaka was just working so fast to meet deadlines that we have opportunity to basically expand. Like, there's opportunity to expand on many of the stories, more specifically on Ichikawa Reno. I think that there could have been a little bit more substance, but I'm gonna save my review for Kaiju number 8 manga when it's completely done and the last chapter has dropped. As to when you will get it, I don't know, because I'll be on hiatus at that point. All right, now for our movies and honorable mentions. First movie indefinitely that we're getting internationally and also being distributed in Japan within the same summer seasonal time period is Demon Slayer Infinity Castle. Can I just say that I'm not looking forward to the fact that it's being done in a cinematic format, but I am looking forward to the movie nonetheless. There's not much to say. We know that this is the final arc. It's going to be coming in 3 parts, with part 1 airing sometime in September in the United States and potentially everywhere internationally in September. It looks really great. I'm really excited to see Zenitsu really show up, because it looks like he's overcome his sleep-wake situation and maybe he'll be able to fight with his eyes open this time. I do realize that we have still not been introduced to the first moon, so I think that Infinity Castle will finally reveal the remaining moons. And yeah, you know, this is the final arc, so obviously we can expect a brutal fight to the end. As to who will survive, I don't know. But the question now is, who will be the first ones to go in the first part? Now here are some honorable mentions for people who have watched some of these anime that are on my watch list but have not watched season 1 for them, or for people who have the courage to continue watching some of these anime, because I just don't anymore. The first 2 that I'm gonna mention that I'm still trying to watch, either because I haven't had the time or because I can't find where it's distributed, is Call of the Night. Call of the Night is known for it's really catchy, but I know it's a bit of a romance, it seems. Also slice of life, where this young boy just can't sleep. He has insomnia and meets this vampire, and he kind of wants to become a vampire, but the only way for him to become a vampire is by him falling in love with one. I don't know how the whole story goes. Please don't mention them in the comments, because I haven't watched yet, but this is one that I am trying to basically continue watching. I just have to finish season 1 and find the time for it. Second one is Grand Blue Dreaming. Grand Blue Dreaming, I just can't find. I heard it's really funny, and you know I'm a sucker for comedy. Where is season 1 of Grand Blue Dreaming? And for those of you out there who are wearing their badges of honor and continuing to watch this anime, I praise you for all of the patience that you have, because I can no longer watch Rising of the Shield Hero. Season 1 was really fun, really cool, and then the plot just got really messy, and I think the parts that made me enjoy Rising of the Shield Hero kind of dissipated story-wise, and I just wasn't engaged anymore. Like, I really tried. I gave it 3 seasons after season 2 was a massive flop from my perspective. Season 3 was a little bit better, but I'm just like, with all these new anime that's coming out this summer, or all of the returning anime that I'm really enjoying and have enjoyed previous seasons of, why am I gonna spend my time watching another painful season of Rising of the Shield Hero? But if you end up watching it and it ends up being like a lot better than season 2 and 3, please let me know. Maybe I'll pick it up again. But one that I won't pick up again, no matter what you tell me, is Rent-a-Girlfriend. I wasted 3 seasons on Rent-a-Girlfriend. Can I just say that I will never get that time back, and I thoroughly regret this anime. Like, if I could create a list of anime I regretted watching, this one is definitely up there, like top 3. Regretted watching, waste of time. I won't be watching it. And from the spoilers I've seen from the manga, I think this is the best decision I can make. So for those of you who continue to watch Rent-a-Girlfriend, I sympathize for you. I hope that you get everything you want from Rent-a-Girlfriend, because I just don't think that they will give us what we want. Alrighty then. This summer, like I said, is gonna be super action-packed. Let me know down in the comments below what you will be watching, especially if I haven't mentioned them in this video. And if I haven't said it before, I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna be going on hiatus probably from this point going forward, so this is gonna be the last video that I put out in a while. If I find the time to put out a video, I'll put out a video. But when I do make my comeback from my hiatus, you'll all be the first to know. In the meantime, you can definitely follow me on Threads because I'll still be a little bit active on there during the hiatus, and we can chat about all the anime that's going on. And if I can find the time to actually go live halfway through the summer season, I will, because I'm going to want to talk about how I feel of each and every one of these animes at their halfway mark. And if you've watched up until this point and have not subscribed to the channel yet, what are you doing? Make sure you subscribe. And while you're at it, like, comment, and share with a friend if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more content like this. However, that's gonna do it for me. I'm Mel, the host of AniMel, and I will catch you on a future episode. Until then, bye!